virtually. Welcome to the launch of the Paragalactic exhibit at the Flieschmann Planetarium. This is something that we've been working on. My name's, by the way, Alex Redei. I'm the lead developer and inventor of this kind of space experience. And what you're about to see is roughly 3 years of work, 2 universities involved, and about 7 students, and all of us have poured our time into this project. And we're very excited to show it off to you today. So welcome, and well, we hope you enjoy. So,
the recording, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
So let's talk a little bit about the motivations. Why did we do this? Neil Armstrong quoted of simulation that if it weren't for the simulation of a spacecraft, the simulation of gravity on our moon, all that training that he received through simulation, that they never would have been able to complete the Apollo missions as successfully as they did. And so here's a picture of the actual simulator that they used to train on. It's, as you can see, gimbals, all the electronics behind it are analog. It's very, that was the technology of the time. And well, as many of you probably know, we've got some new technology now. Solid state electronics, very low power consumption sensors, which I think is very exciting for being able to do longer missions. Obviously, computers have evolved substantially. And there's a lot of new things, exciting things happening in space exploration, specifically with the privatization of launching like SpaceX, Blue Origin, here locally, Sierra Nevada Corporation's Dream Chaser. And so our goal was to develop something to inspire the next generation. That's really what we wanted to do here. And so this is right around the, so we just kind of were thinking, we want to do something with space, we weren't sure what. And so eventually we found Paul. And so together we kind of came up with this proposal. So the idea was we're going to take actual space facts and science standards from middle school state science standards, and try to bake that into a fun game that's also custom built for our simulator, our motion simulator, which adds an additional element of challenge to this. And we're branding this kind of thing Paragalactic. So I'm just going to briefly, the simulator is not something that we have to show you today, but I'm going to briefly talk about it because this game is custom built for this, and it's very exciting when you do get to experience it in this context. So essentially, our simulator is capable of doing 360-degree rolls and flips. There's 2 seaters inside of it. One person's the pilot, one person's the co-pilot. They have identical sets of controls. They have a joystick and a throttle, which allows you to control the way that the vehicle behaves. And right now, we currently have different difficulty levels implemented, 3D visuals inside the simulator, a themed experience, like this is a screenshot of the solar coaster, which I think is very relative to the planetarium. We're very excited about that. But anyway, I just want to give you a brief overview of what the flight simulator looks like. So let's talk about the experience. What is the Paragalactic experience? Well, so the first thing that happens is when they show up at the planetarium, they will receive, I'm not sure if you're able to see this, but an Astronaut ID Card. And, okay, there we go. And there's three different styles that they can choose from. And on it, it has the QR code that's generated by the museum and is uniquely identified to them. And so what this QR code allows is you can scan it in and your progress is tracked through the Paragalactic game, but also potentially different exhibits at the museum. There's 3 different styles for this, so the students or whoever it is that comes to the museum gets to choose their style in the first place when they join. So then, in order to start the system, this is a little bit, I'm showing you a little bit of the back end how it works, but I'll just talk through it briefly. The operator chooses to scan easy, medium, or hard, depending on the student's preference. And then we have a 1-player or 2-player experience, so it's configurable in that way. Now here for our demo today, we have a wired barcode scanner, but normally this would be done through a wireless barcode scanner. And you can even do them in such a way that they automatically shoot the beam. And so all you have to do is pass your card underneath for touchless control, which I think is very appropriate given our current times. So I know all of you are attending virtually, which is a bummer because I really wanted to show you this, but anyway, we'll disregard this note for now. There are still bugs, and so it is still a prototype. So your first mission is going to be navigation, and this is actually what's really exciting about the simulator that we've developed is because we can give you full motion, we can really disorient you, and that's something that's going to happen in space. You're going to be experiencing G-forces based on the actions that you command the spacecraft to do, and so anyway, we were able to reflect that in the simulation, and that's a lot of fun. So then the second mission is, this is where you get to learn a little bit about the composition of minerals in space. So I don't know if you're able to see this video, but we are actually mining asteroids in this part of the mission. Particles of the asteroids are actually coming towards you, and then the atomic number, I don't know if you saw that little badge over here off to the right, but the atomic number of the mineral that you just collected off that asteroid is displayed. And then, this is not going to be appropriate given our current virtual situation, but mission 3, I said you have to play to find out. Well, I'll just tell you since you're here virtually. Mission 3 is, we needed something a little more challenging than just collecting minerals. And so we put in some rogue drones that will attack the spaceship that you're kind of orbiting around, and you have to defend that. You and your co-pilot have to defend that. And that's a challenge because the co-pilot / the gun only has control of the guns, and the pilot only has control of the spaceship, so you have to communicate between the two of you how you want to handle this situation. Maybe we'll show you a demonstration in the future. So all of this, like I was saying, the telemetry data is being generated in the game about how many G-forces are being experienced by the pilot and the co-pilot, and that's what you're seeing right here. This is the raw data. This is it being mapped to the simulator, and then this is the icon showing kind of the G-forces that are being applied across the different motors in the simulator. So in addition to the playthrough of the game, we also developed a repeatable competition kind of experience. The idea of this was, we noticed how games that are, even though they may be simple, if given a competitive aspect to it, kids will love that, and they will absolutely do whatever it takes to beat their friends. And so we kind of tried to bake that in here to drive traffic to the museum, get people excited about coming back. And so let's talk about that real quick. So when you get your Astronaut ID card, you set up your account simply by scanning it with your smartphone. This QR code will take you to an account setup page. You set up an account, and then once you do that, you have complete tracking over your stats in the game, or the API is public, it's open source. So anything that implements this API, future exhibits, let's say at the museum, you'll be able to track your progress here. And so it shows you things like your score, the number of times you come, the total amount of time that you spent over this different activities. And we can do things such as if a group of students comes, let's say in a class, that class can be benchmarks. There can be a report that's generated at the end of the field trip for the class, which will show, hey, you know, these are the different scores the students did, here's the things that they excelled at. So we think that's pretty neat. So badges. I want to talk a little about this because we incorporated some fun elements into here that we'd like to share with you. One of our badges is called "'Tis But a Scratch." Does anybody know Monty Python? So in Monty Python, there is, I think it's a knight, right? This knight goes up to this bridge, says he wants to pass, and the gatekeeper of the bridge refuses to let him pass, so he chops off one of his arms. Then he chops off the next arm, then he chops off both arms, or both legs. And the knight's response is, oh, it's just a scratch, 'tis but a scratch. So if you die a lot in our game, you actually get rewarded for that, and you get the 'tis but a scratch badge. And we have over 53 different badges and awards that we have implemented. I'm sorry, I said 53, but it's actually 56. 56 different badges that are implemented that reward all sorts of wacky behavior. And by the way, I just want to highlight, all of these were handmade by my student, Colin. We have a very talented team that's working on this. So, yeah, so your badges are displayed on the leaderboard. I'm just highlighting them here. I do want to point out that there are multiple tiers of the same badge. So for example, you'll notice that the Predator badge is listed 3 times, and that's because they got the silver badge, then they got the gold badge, and then they went to the platinum badge. All badges are tiered, not all, I'm sorry. Most badges are tiered in 3 tiers that allows different levels of achievement depending on your skill. So interesting game mechanics. Like I said, we're trying to make this fun for everyone, so we want an experience that a kid can enjoy, but maybe they can go with their parents as well. And so we have to give different challenges for different age groups, and this is kind of how we handled that. First is, for the young ones, we don't have a death mechanic. There's no way to die in this game. Like I said before, you actually get rewarded for dying a lot. We think it's silly. And the way we handle death is your penalty. If, let's say, you get shot down and you happen to be upside down in the simulator, we freeze you in that position for 3 seconds. So whatever wacky position you might be in, maybe you're lucky. Maybe you're just floating along level and you get shot down and you're lucky for 3 seconds you stay level. But most people are going to be doing something wacky when they get shot down, and that's your penalty, is you get frozen in position. And then we have all sorts of wacky rewards, like I was saying, for all sorts of different stuff, like if you do a bunch of barrel rolls, you get a badge for that, the Dizzy badge. If you mine more minerals than your mission parameters require you to, you get a badge called Greedy Miner for that. If you only use missiles as your weapon of choice, you get Demolitions Expert badge for that. If you only use lasers, you get Trigger Happy badge for that. If you speed run, if any of you know what speed running is, it's a very popular thing in simple video games, is to run through them as fast as you possibly can. You can, if you do that in our game, you can possibly win the Speedy Miner badge. So that's just some of the wacky game mechanics that we baked into this game. Everything okay with the presentation? Okay. So what I'd like to do is, I think, let's get to the demonstration. But before we do that, because we don't have the simulator here, I want to show you a video of what the experience will be like inside of the simulator. So I'm going to give you that little preview now.
Welcome, pilot.
So let me just tell you about the future plans we have for this project and what we're hoping to put together. And we really, we'd appreciate your support. And my hope was for today that the support would be that I was going to get feedback from actual users, but I don't think that's going to happen other than my parents today.
Have you guys played it before yet?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm leaving Nevada next week, but this exhibit will stay here. This exhibit will live here at the Flieschmann Planetarium. So please come by, give it a shot, and give us your guys' feedback on what you think about the system that we've developed. We would greatly appreciate that. That's very much how you can support this project. With that, let me tell you about the future plans here. We are actively investigating the possibility of moving a motion simulator like I just described here at the planetarium. There's a lot of things we need to overcome. We need to figure out the insurance. We need to figure out how revenue would work. We need to figure out how we're going to upkeep the simulator. It's 6,000 pounds of steel and has motors that have the torque of 2 semi-trucks chained together. So it's quite powerful. It's quite massive. It's, you know, it will require some funds to keep this up to date. But what I'm showing you here is my investigation into the floor plan of the planetarium. It's very odd, as you can see. We have this almost a elliptical kind of floor plan shape, and then the roof line is its own thing. And so anyway, my initial review and investigation, and by the way, UNR doesn't actually have a ceiling map. They only have floor plans. They don't even know how high the ceiling is at each point. So we're doing our own investigation, and actually at the end of this, we'll probably submit this data back to UNR because it will add to the wealth of knowledge they have of this historic building. But anyway, long story short, we're hoping to add that in here, and then in the future we'll be able to enable additional experiences like that solar roller coaster that I talked about. So in conclusion, this is a Paragalactic is, well, we're excited to welcome you to the launch of this new exhibit, and it's a partnership between my university that I work at, Central Michigan University, and the planetarium. And so we just appreciate your support in trying out. It's completely free, it doesn't cost you anything, but we appreciate your support in coming out here, giving this a shot, and letting us know what you think. Final note, this is just a small sliver of what I work on. I'm the director of the Michigan Aerospace Center for Simulations. We talked today about the space simulator, but I do other things involving simulation, like recreation of aviation crashes, remote control of drone. We're very excited about the possibilities of cooperating on that in the future as well. So with that, thank you guys, and well, why don't we show you a demo of the game? Are there any questions before I get into the game?
Is anybody there? I know we had a couple more people join us. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Did anybody want to pose a question for our engineer here today? I think you did a great job. Oh, okay, Tim, go ahead.
How much power does this thing require here?
How much power does this require to run the machinery, the equipment?
The flight simulator?
The flight simulator.
So Tim, the flight simulator requires 208 volt, 3-phase power at approximately 30 amp continuous, and they're induction motors, right? So when you have that first initial boost of G, that is gonna, I can't tell you how many amps. That could be 3 times as many. That could be 90 amps.
What is your peak?
So
Peak.
what size circuit breakers on your system, then that would be a good way to,
I run the system through a dedicated diesel generator that is 3-phase. It's an industrial diesel generator, and the breaker on it's like 100 and maybe it's 250 amp. It's way more than I need, and I only did it because that happened to be the only generator I could acquire that has the right voltage. At a place like the planetarium.
22 away is pretty common, and that's what the planetarium is wired with.
Yeah.
It's just that, it's a big load. We'd have to figure out, they'd have to figure out where to get that power from.
Agreed. I know they did some work recently, so I'm hoping that they put in some additional wiring, but we'll have to cross that bridge at some point and figure out how that works.
Enough power there to do it, it's just not gonna be trivial.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Excellent.
Thank you for the tip. Appreciate it, Tim.
Cool. Do we want to, maybe our expert pilot and gunner, would
Sure.
they be willing to?
So Mom and Dad, do you want to try this?
Me, I got sick last time.
Oh.
From what? From the TV?
No, the real thing.
Well, we're not doing the real thing today, but okay, that's fine. Do you want to try it, Dad?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
The flight simulator is fairly heavy. How many tons?
6,000 pounds.
6,000 pounds. Is the flooring is?
Yeah, we'll have to investigate that. We
Okay.
don't know right now. It does appear to be cantilevered concrete. This does appear to be a concrete floor. If you go down the steps, they are concrete. There is a support post out there, so I don't know. We're hoping. We'll have to talk to an engineer.
Okay.
That will all have to be investigated.
There are rooms underneath there, so that floor is not sitting on dirt.
Understood. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yep, that's a good point. So yeah, I'm gonna let you go over here.
Are you guys
Dad.
going to do it together?
Yeah, we're gonna do it together.
Okay, nice.
All right. So if you want to come closer, let's show everyone how it works. So first, this is my Astronaut ID badge. I'm gonna set that right there, and then I'm gonna give my dad a random Astronaut ID badge. This is your Astronaut ID badge.
All right.
I'm gonna set this here. For the purposes of this, you don't have to set up an account, and we're not going to right now. I have mine set up, so you'll see my name or something pops up it won't pop up for my dad. So step one, we're gonna scan our badges. So I'll scan my dad's badge first. Okay, and now it says Space Cadet 35. You're Space Cadet 35 because you haven't created an account yet. Next, I'll scan my badge, Alex 2, and as you can see, neither of us have scores yet. So next we need to choose, are we going to do easy, medium, or hard, Dad?
Whatever you want.
Okay, since you're the pilot and I have to help you out, let's do easy. Okay,
He's
so now
developed a great AI that helps you. So.
you'll see the difficulty level is now easy. So now we're going to try two-player mode. So now we should both be ready to play.
Oh, look at those graphics.
It's called Breaker.
I don't know.
Here they go.
I'm pilot, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
You're okay with me being
Yeah,
pilot? Okay.
I'm fine.
Are you okay if we boost through this?
Yeah, sure.
Let's boost through this. So what we're doing, this is the first part of the mission, is we are navigating through these navigation rings. Every time we move through, you'll see it tells us where the next ring is that we need to go. And if we were to go the opposite direction, you can see an arrow appears and it tells us where we need to be. So, and then Dad, if you pull your trigger, you'll be able to shoot.
You want that fire?
Well, you can wait until we get to the end of this. This is easy mode, so everything's basically lined up for you. This is designed for people who are not gamers. Now I think we should trade. This will make this more fun. Okay. So now I'm the gunner, my dad is the pilot. So I'm gonna try and shoot asteroids. Looks like there's something over there, Dad, we're supposed to get. It's
Right.
highlighted for us.
Where's the island?
Up there, it's floating away, there's an arrow.
Nice.
And then now, as, I don't know if you see this, but there are particulate coming off of the asteroid that I'm now mining. And as it floats towards me, it tells us what the mineral composition of it is.
Iron.
It says it was iron. So now this looks like it's shiny. Let's try this. I need your help. There we go. All right, so that was platinum. And now we've completed our mission for platinum. So let's go get this gold.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm going to try something different. If you could, yeah, perfect. Now I'm going to try mining with rockets. So you can mine with rockets. Oop, uh-oh. Get me lined up. Yay, okay. There we go. And if we do that enough times, let's see if we can do that for the next one. The arrow's up there, Dad. If we do this enough times, we'll get a badge. There we go. So we got a badge for being dizzy, and then you'll see I got the Quarry Master badge, which is for mining with missiles. So there's badges for everything. The idea is we're trying to reward any kind of behavior. So if you go,
I see.
yeah. And then
However, I think you need to have some kind of bank account showing your mind.
it actually does, Dad. It says right here how much
Oh, okay, cool.
how much you've mined. Okay, so we didn't get the Speedy Miner badge because we were a little too slow, but if we did that faster, we would get it. Now we have to fight these enemies. Oh, it's very effective weapons when you're on easy mode. Uh-oh, don't let them hit us, Dad. So I'm now in third-person mode, and I'm doing this by holding one of my controls. You'll be able to do this in the simulator as well.
Watch.
Okay. And you'll see I can change the direction my lasers are firing, and every time someone shoots us, you'll see that our shields respawn. So I'll go ahead and actually try and fight this now. Whew. This would be very interesting, Dad. So we beat our first wave of 3. We have another 3, Dad, that are down there. I don't know if you see the red dots. They're shooting at us.
Oh, there, there.
But this is quite the experience when you're actually experiencing this in motion, which I realize you're not able to see this in this demonstration, but that's the context that this game is built for. All right, there's 3 tones. 1, 2, 1. Oh, okay, we almost had it, Dad. 1, 2. Oh. Okay, we got a badge there because we rammed into them.
That's great.
But I think there's some more bad guys. Let's see if we can demonstrate a missile lock right there. Yeah. So pull back on the throttle, Dad. Let's bring our speed down to 0. Okay, 1, 2, and then I was able to get a missile lock, but he dodged it. Oh, that's too bad. So there's a timer up here. It's a timed experience, and it will give us 6 minutes to complete our objective. That's end to end. The entire experience is 3 minutes long. So we have about 20 seconds left. Depending on how fast you move through the prior phases, oh, I missed it. Depending on how fast you move through the prior phases, you get a certain amount of time allocated to this final mission. If it turns out that let's say you're a veteran, you've already done the mineral collection, you've already done the navigation, and you just want to go to a particular mission, we have a feature that allows you to skip to that mission that you prefer. So now it shows our score. We got 48,000 points. It shows where we stand on the leaderboard. My dad's Space Cadet 35. I'm Alex 2. And then, oh, that's right. We scanned our badges, so it's automatically uploaded to the leaderboard. So now, if anyone wants to play, if anyone comes to the museum and you see this screen and you want to, this is someone else is done playing and you want to skip this kind of, this leaderboard scene, all you have to do is click the trigger 5 times like this and it resets you.
Ah, nice.
So this is for anxious kids who want to just get in there and play.
Wow, you thought of everything.
So I'll show you one other thing, which is our leaderboard, assuming UNR lets me connect to the Wi-Fi again.
Oh.
And you can see we're now on the leaderboard. Alex 2. I got a game as a co-pilot. I was the co-pilot on that game. And then if you go back here to the main leaderboard, you can see how we rank. And we're nowhere near on the top, right? We have 40,000. Some of these players have 500,000 points.
Oh, gosh.
And so but if you page through this, you can see where you are. And this screen will live on this TV. On this TV right here, and will automatically update depending on what scores people get. So that concludes my demonstration. Thank you guys for attending, and I guess are there any questions?
Any last questions about the process or how it works?
The simulator that you're in, can you actually go completely upside down?
Yes, you can. We actually have to restrain you using 2 different points. You have a seat belt, and then you have a roller coaster kind of harness that comes down. The operator, which will probably be Paul, will assist you into your seat. And it's the seats that you sit in are what are they? They're NASCAR racing bucket seats. They're from Summit Racing. So you have this, you have the seat belt you buckle in, and then a harness that comes down on you. That way, when you go completely upside down, there's no risk of falling out.
Wow. It is within the machine's mechanical. Yes, it's
In fact, I'm sorry. What was your name?
Tim.
Tim. In fact, Tim. I guess I'm now seeing your face. So your camera was off last time. Oh, okay. So, in fact, we feel that many people will probably not want to go fully upside down. They may not want that kind of an experience. They may not want to experience 2.5 Gs. So I showed you briefly these sliders right here. Let me show you this real quick.
It's recorded, so we'll have it available for you.
So this is where we're taking the telemetry data from the game. This is the raw values, and then it's being mapped into a range of possible positions for the simulator to be in. The operator can pull back these sliders and say, no, 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 no. This is a very young person. This is a person who gets motion sick. We're only going to let them rock the boat a little bit. They're not going to let them go upside down. That's with one of our capabilities. So yeah, that is a possibility.
But this particular system that you've got is the only one that has the full
That's
range
right.
of motion.
This is the only system, if you look at the simulators, I mentioned I was the director of the MAX lab, and so what my research focuses on flight simulation. Most pilots train on what's known as a level D flight simulator. It's built on a Stewart platform, which is 6 axes, 6 individual motors that go from the ground up to the simulator, and they could give motion and pitch, roll, yaw, heave, sway, and surge. And so it moves like this. I don't know if you're able to see my hand and what I'm doing, but it's kind of moving like that relative to the ground. So this is different because we don't do yaw, we don't do heave, sway, and surge, but we give you full motion capability on 2 axes. So we can give you actually way more G-forces than the simulators that the pilots train on. The ones that pilots train on are great because it gives you a little bit of all axes. Our trade-off is we don't give you all axes, but we give you, of the axes we give you the full experience possible.
But Alex, because it's 360 degrees either direction, you can simulate the yaw.
I can simulate the yaw with G-force,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I'll get into the weeds here real quick. Nobody yaws their airplane after a certain speed. Like, yaw is great for like trying to line up your plane for landing and stuff. It's super valuable, but don't get me wrong. But if you're a fighter pilot and you're flying the F-18, it actually has an advisory: do not yaw above 180 knots. And 180 knots is not much for an F-18. And so that's the kind of people I'm working with. They're very interested in your ability to roll and pitch and bank and make these extreme maneuvers really fast. And so that's where the technology evolved from.
Excellent.
Any other questions?
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, what's that?
So I understand how you can simulate. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh. Yes.
I understand how you can simulate, but how would you actually simulate G-force?
That's not
So
simulated.
it's a function of, think of it like it's a mini centrifuge. It's not like a huge centrifuge. The primary purpose of being able to go 360 is not to centrifuge you, but there is a centrifugal force that's being applied and you're experiencing inside the cockpit, and then I'm also changing the way gravity affects you. So if, for example, if I simply were to take this room and I would rotate it 90 degrees, you would feel like you're experiencing 2 G's on your body, right? Because you're experiencing the 1 G from gravity and you're experiencing an additional G of kind of this vector of force. So you feel like you're moving forward. Does that make sense? So by changing the way that gravity affects you and by using these powerful motors to give you a centrifugal force, that's how I affect the way that you get different forces, that you feel different forces inside the simulator.
But that's not simulation. You're actually experiencing the G.
I guess, yeah.
That's
I mean,
true. So it's
you are
the
experiencing
physics
the
are,
G,
real.
but-
Yeah, it's
are
physics.
the physiological effects.
So
yeah.
here's an interesting question for you guys. This is something we kind of racked our brains on when we were developing this game. So imagine everyone starts at ground level, right? You walk into the simulator at this level. Okay, let's suppose I'm looking at that sun, and from this angle, when I'm flying the spaceship, I'm level relative to the ground. In space, there's no gravity, right? So in space, I'm simply using gravity and the centrifugal force to give you G-forces. So my question for you is, if I rotate 90 degrees and I bank, should I turn the simulator and then move the simulator upwards? Does that make sense? Do I move 2 axes for you because you manipulated 2 axes? Or do I keep a reference of Earth? I'm sorry, I'm really not describing this very well. Let me try and re-explain this again. So no matter what position you're in, in space because there's no gravity? Do I give you G-forces if you do an action? Or do I give you movements, G-forces, based on where you started from when you left the museum? Because doing it one way or the other and you expect the other way will be very sickening, if that makes sense. If you expect this part of the sun to be level in the simulator because you started staring at this part of the sun, you started being level, but then you did a bunch of maneuvers and it's no longer so. You're no longer level when you're looking at the sun this way. So my question to you is, which do you prefer as an audience? Because we've implemented it both ways.
If you're realistic, you cannot have a level field in the space. There's no direction.
That's true. I was just wondering,
If you,
people might get very sick
well,
from not having a context, you know?
Sorry, this is reality physics.
What do you guys think?
The other thing too is that because you're in space, since you don't have any atmosphere to deal with, you don't have to bank when you're making a turn, for instance. You can just make a turn. You can do maneuvers that are impossible in an atmosphere. And so that's something your simulator may or may not be able to simulate, you know, for those who want that kind of realistic motion.
That's true. So right now, there is no yaw. We don't even bother with yaw. The game doesn't even implement a yaw mechanic. So in order to, if you just wanted to yaw to the left, you would need to bank and then pull up on the stick like you would in an aircraft. That's the way that it's implemented right now. So
Right, but a spacecraft can yaw instantly.
You're right.
And a spacecraft can translate, which is something this probably can't do.
that's true. That's true.
So it's an approximation.
Yeah. Again, the initial goal is, you know, an edutainment experience, not a full. If you know the full realistic simulation experience, we have an FAA certified simulator in Michigan that kind of fulfills that criteria. This is more of a like fun thing for groups that come to the planetarium.
Alex,
I
you have,
missed the chance to fly an F5 simulator. I got told, you know, if I could drop what I was doing and drive 60 miles, I could fly an F5 simulator. I didn't want to at that particular moment because it was a bad moment. Well, 2 weeks later, the friend that asked me to do that got in an accident, lost his job, and a week after that, they canceled the F5 program.
Oh no.
Timmy learning.
Any other questions?
yeah, Alex, you have easy, medium, and hard in the
Okay.
game. Why you don't have a realistic level?
With the air sickness bags and the
experts, for
Dramamine.
Gosh.
For experts.
Well, I think Alex and his students have done an absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They've done an absolutely brilliant job in all the different iterations that they've gone through, the incredible amount of thought and coding and activities they've done. This has been an amazing project, and you earned a doctorate based in part upon the work that you were doing with this
A little bit,
project.
yeah,
So
yeah.
was related in part to this. So we're just really thrilled in the research and the development that they've been doing, and we can't wait to see it deployed with people. I know Alex has tested some of these systems with participants at the Reno Air Races, and had tremendous success and wonderful feedback from those folks, and we're looking forward to seeing additional feedback from people in the future too. But thank you again for bringing this up, and we're so glad that we could have you here in Reno. And despite the quarantine, it's been wonderful to see people be creative and go forward and develop some amazing things. So kudos to you and to your entire team, and
Well,
thank
thank
you so
you.
much for doing that. It's good
We
to see you.
appreciate your guys' time, and please come check out our exhibit.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, you guys.